Hey, good morning. Welcome to Connect Daily Bread, where we recognize man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Today's reading concludes the first letter to the Corinthian church. So we're in chapter 16 today. And here at the beginning, we see Paul lay out some giving that was to take place and go to the Jerusalem church. And he encourages them to keep up with it, to not be slack in it, but to be intentional. And to do this on the first day of the week, keeping up with our income. And so right here we see once more the evidence of tithing being a part of the early church. And keeping with your income has to do with the tithe, which just simply means tenth. And as we've discussed and talked about the purpose and reason for tithing, first off, that it's not just 10%, but it's the first fruits. It's the first 10%. It should be the first line item in a disciple's budget. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. I really appreciated in our processing, Josh bringing this up at Refocus, that tithing would be central to us seeing the kind of stuff that, the kind of breakthrough that God longs for in the Ignite Campus ministry. So tithing, we're told when it's introduced in Deuteronomy, the reason for it is it teaches us to place God first in everything. So there's so much blessing, so many good things that will come out of this in our lives if we get sound on this point. Because it has to do with the heart. Jesus says, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So putting our heart in alignment with Christ, putting our investment into the kingdom. And there's a reality in Malachi, both blessings and curses associated with that. So that's something worth checking out as we consider whether or not we're gonna choose to obey in the tithe or not to. So Paul's gonna go there and he's gonna collect this money, and it's neat to see his approach to this because he's being questioned on many fronts. And ironically, he was being questioned as to not really loving these guys and just being in it to get something out of them, even though he had not collected personally any money from them. Though as one who preaches the gospel, God says they should make their living from the gospel. He forewent that right that he had in order to express his love. And so because they were getting funny about money in this situation, he says, I'll select some people from among you to take it. So there's no wonkiness and accusation that could come of, well, Paul did this or that with the money. It was really about etc. So just wisdom and tact there, that he's gonna select people from them. And he said, hey, if it seems right, I'll go with them. But it was very clear that their own people selected from him, from that church at Corinth, were going to be the ones to deliver this tithe. And it's neat to see his heart for them and his desire to spend time with them. He says, I hope to see you, and not just see you for a bit, I hope to spend some time with you. So the model that Paul lays forth continually is not just sharing the gospel, but sharing his life with folks. He's had a deep love for this church at Corinth and for all of God's people. Yet at the time he was held up till Pentecost because a door had opened for effective work in spreading the gospel. It was just neat, kind of stood out to me because we're praying about open doors, right? We see that terminology that a door had opened up. And it's super exciting to see and hear what's going on. The doors really are opening up on our campuses and in the Connect Church. And so I just encourage that we keep pressing on, that we keep praying, and then making the most of those opportunities. That God would give us eyes to see where the doors are open, and the courage and the love to walk through those doors and engage with folks just the way that somebody did with us. So the chapter ends up concluding pretty similar to most of the way that Paul closes out his letters, and just some greetings and things like that. We see they greet one another with the holy kiss, and so that's kind of awkward and weird to us, but that was customary of the time, right? We see that in the Gospels when Jesus gets invited over to the Pharisees' place, and he's like, hey, you didn't kiss me when I came in. That was more like a handshake or a hug. It was just an expression of warmth. But we see that Paul says, hey, I wrote this in my own hand, which is not the case with most of his letters. There's actually only, I think, Galatians and this one that I'm sure of, that he wrote with his own hand, but he lays that out. But ultimately, he he just sends well wishes. And it's so neat to see the unity in the church, that Priscilla and Aquila, the church that meets at their home, is sending well wishes and love. And just to see really one fam, one body, the way God always designed it, for the way that God designed it to be. So those are some of the thoughts on today's reading. Go ahead and close out 1 Corinthians today. Share anything that stuck out to you in the comments, and then we'll pick up with 2 Corinthians tomorrow. Love you guys. Have a good day.